power the state several times over. Because the most ideal place on wind on Oahu is from the multi-million-dollar Black Point homes at the edge of Diamond Head, along the Aina coast, just offshore, in the shallow water, and therefore the windmills would not be very deep, landing at Haunama Bay. That area is so rich in wind, you wouldn't need Lanai and Molokai. Of course, Oahu is more like, let's destroy somebody else's space.
Everything you say is totally rational, logical, and I really support what you're saying. However, my experience in the unreal world is that the people who have the money and the power, i.e. the corporations who want to make money, they don't care about logical, rational. So how are we going to block and stop the people who are only interested in making money against the people who really care about the environment? Where is the power? What can we do?
There are actually some large companies that have figured out that grid-based electricity is not the most secure. So Google and eBay are looking at something called the Bloom Box, which is an on-site natural gas generator. You bring natural gas in, you power it, you can supply totally reliable power for the facility. The major banks, the ones that handle credit cards, they operate using fuel cells because they do not want the chance that they're transferring $3 billion worth of credit card information and suddenly the line goes down. So some major corporations are looking to on-site generation, which is can be far more reliable than grid-based electricity. So it's not just wacko environmentalists, but some very corporate capitalists. So it's a wide range of groups. And part of it, I wrote a report, and it's available on our website, it's one long word, lifeoflandhawaii.org, where I outline community-based power, community empowerment, where we rely more on www.lifeofthelandhawaii.org. And the report is called Wayfinding.
And what can we, right now, as individuals who are not in the corporation but are the 99%, do here in Puna to support your ideals?
One of the ways is to put a lot of pressure on the county to support greater use of on-site generation. There is a resolution moving through the county legislature on increasing solar to 50% of the grid. I don't think that can be handled because right now you need base load energy for the majority of the power on the grid. The intermittent, the fluctuating, the wind and the solar can only be about a third of the grid. And right now, believe it or not, the Big Island with the wind farms at South Point and in Hawaii and the solar coming on is hitting an upper limit of variable power on the grid that has not been hit by any other utility in the United States, with the exception of NECO. So right now, there are a lot of hidden studies, part of this reliability standards working group that I'm looking at, that is looking at 2-second data, where you look at what's happening on the grid every 2 seconds for months or years at a time to see how the intermittent loads are affecting the grid. And that's all behind non-disclosure agreements. So part of it is we need to get the political pressure in place to allow people to remove themselves from the grid, and we have to set up the regulatory mechanisms that will actually finance that. And that's what I'm going to be working on.
Yes, sir. I'd like to, I'm not sure I understood the question about batteries, but I think I do, and I'd like to approach it a different way. When you say that it's cheaper to do solar, that the crossover's reached, that it's cheaper to generate solar than it is to buy electricity from Helco on the Big Island, does that mean that it's cheaper to go off the grid and provide your own storage on site as well as your own generation power and go off the grid? Or are you talking about just solar's cheaper than Helco as far as a generator?
right now, without tax breaks, without subsidies, the price of solar is cheaper than the price of grid-based electricity. When you throw in the batteries, you have to compare that to what the utility is planning to do to the grid to make it smart. So the trade-off is the cost of leaving the grid and getting batteries versus the cost of staying on the grid and paying for all these expensive upgrades that have to be done. That price comparison, I don't know, and that's why I want to hijack the federal study and let them come up with the numbers.
I have been ready for the past 3 months to purchase a PV system. I looked into it about 6 years ago, and it was all DC systems with battery storage or inverters so that you could grid tie. Now they're all microinverter systems that are feeding AC into your home system, and they're designed to be grid tied. I'm now in a quandary. I'm going to spend the 40 grand that it's going to take